Hello, everyone. Jeffrey Nance here. Taking the place of Dave Huber today. He's got a few things going on. So I'm going to be here with you guys today. And we're going to be talking about how to set up a trading account. The particular broker that we're going to walk through today is called Tastyworks. So there are many other brokerage opportunities out there. You can search on the internet, find several of those. If you were to ask our students which are the two most commonly used brokers, it would be Tastyworks and TD Ameritrade's what they call Think or Swim. So I know starting out, a lot of people are interested in trading, but they're just a little overwhelmed with just the process, just getting everything set up. And it can be difficult. It can be kind of one of those deals where you're just like, I don't even know what to do or what they're asking for when I'm trying to set up this account. So what we're going to do today is actually just go into account and talk a little bit about what each of those categories mean, and then you can kind of go from there and get things set up. But guys, I just want to encourage you, if you want to get the results you've always had, then do the things that you've always done. If you want to get results that are different than what you've always had, then you have to do things differently than what you've always done. So, that's true whether it comes to eating, working out, trying to start a new habit, trying to get rid of an old habit. You just got to do it. You got to put in the work. And part of putting in that work, if you're getting started with trading, is realize, I got to have a broker. Now, I could take my money down to somebody else and let them trade for me. But if I'm going to take control of my finances, I've got to have a brokerage account because I need somebody to act as a go-between between me, these market makers, and allow me to purchase these stocks or purchase these options or do these multi-leg trades, which we call spreads. There's various types of those. So got to set up an account. Now, you can often set up an account for free, but you're going to have to fund that. Most of the time, that's within the first 30 days, or they will basically try to deactivate that account. So if you're going to set up an account, you need to fund it within about 30 days. Now, if you go to your brokerage site, they're going to list off several ways that you can fund that account. You can send in a check, you can do a money order, ACH, etc. There's lots of different ways to do that. That's really up to you. The fastest way generally has been either wiring money or doing the ACH transfer. There sometimes can be fees for doing that, but it depends on how ready you are to get going with all of this stuff. So without going into any more detail on just the general process, let's just skip right over there and go through what the process looks like. So, just search it out. Here's Google. I'm going to type in Tastyworks. It's kind of a weird name, but a great trading platform. Boom, Tastyworks. All right, you'll see that we're looking at the home here for Tastyworks. We're just going to click right there on that home page. All right, here's a bunch of stuff that pops up here. Pricing, technology, inspiration, account types. So we're going to focus on the account types here. You can see we can open up an account right there. Easy enough. So what they're really trying to do is to take away some of that, difficulty with this process. They really aren't trying to make it hard. They're trying to make it easy. I know that there's a lot of terminology that might be a little confusing. So we're going to take a little time here to give you that vocabulary necessary to helping you maybe navigate this a little easier so that when you go to set up your brokerage account, all of this stuff will make a lot more sense. Now, we're dealing specifically with Tastyworks here. Just realize that regardless of the type of broker that you are trying to use, some of this is going to be very similar as far as the account types. When it comes to choosing what you're able to do, Tastyworks is a little different because, as you'll see, they're going to allow you to trade even some very complex stuff that you might not even have the knowledge of how to trade right now, but they're going to kind of all package that up in what they call the works, which we'll discuss here in a second. Now, with some other brokers, they might be a little bit more restrictive. So they may allow you to say, do stock trading, maybe covered call writing, and then maybe options trading, specifically calls and puts. They may not allow you to be in any naked or short positions. All right, that's fine. You can work your way back up to that. Normally, that's through education or experience. Generally, they like to have both the education and the experience to know how to trade what they would consider to be those riskier positions. So you can work through that, kind of see what your broker allows. More and more of them are being a little bit more lenient with just allowing somebody to say, look, if you are agreeing to take on the risk, then we'll allow you to make those types of trades. Whereas, I'd say even at least a decade ago, maybe even as much as little as 5 years ago, they were more restrictive. So now with the competition, they're opening up, allowing people to do more. So you just have to take on more of that individual responsibility. If you click over here on pricing, you'll notice what their fee schedule looks like. And, it's very competitive. They've won numerous awards here. Opening commission, that's just simply the amount you're going to have to pay just to do the trade. So that's what they're going to make. And that's really fair. So $1 commission, and then you can see here $1 per contract, but it's $10 max per leg, which is really, really great if you are planning on trading a higher number of contracts, which we certainly don't want you to do at your early stages. Definitely build up, right? So start small, and then if you're seeing good results, then maybe you build up over time. It's what I call proportional trading. So you don't want to go in and trade a bunch of money, because if you don't really know what you're doing, or you make some mistakes, or have several expenses pile up, that puts you in a hole there, and could be a deep hole, which takes longer to climb out of. So they do allow you to trade on futures, which we don't really do here at Tradeway. Then you can see on stocks and in ETFs, $0, which is pretty cool. They don't charge you anything for doing that. So that's their fee structure there. And again, you can kind of go through that, but very, very competitive there on what they're doing. Now, as far as technology, you can read more about that, but they have a lot of tutorials, different things that you can do. You can read through and watch these videos and learn all kinds of stuff if you're interested in learning more about those things. But what we're focused on today is right over here on the account types. You'll notice, as I mentioned earlier, that they primarily offer something called the works. You can either do this as an individual account, that can be just a straight cash account, or an individual margin account, which we'll talk a little bit more about what both of those mean here in just a second. With this works, you have access to trade all available products, including stocks, covered and uncovered options. That means that you're in long calls or long puts. That long means bought if you're new. So a covered position. Uncovered means that you're naked. So you sold to open. In this case, you sold to open a call or a put. They allow you to do that. Now, again, that's kind of scary for me, because if you're a newer student, I'm going, oh gosh, you do a naked call, you have an unlimited expense potential there. So really want you guys to make sure you know what you're doing, but you can do that, which is really cool. Then they have covered and uncovered options spreads. Very neat. Now at Tradeway, we teach obviously stocks at step 1, options at step 2, spreads at step 3 and 4. So that's kind of how that works. And then we don't do much with futures. So, but they allow you to do all that stuff. So if that's something you find like that's intriguing to you that you might want to do, there you go. Says here, right here, the application should take you 3 to 5 minutes to complete. Well, that's not long. Make sure you have the following: social security number, email, physical mailing address, and your full name. So easy enough, right? I mean, again, they're not making this hard, or they're trying not to. It just feels a little overwhelming. And I remember way back years and years and years ago, I was doing some substitute teaching, and I was teaching a trigonometry class. and we had a test, and just a lot of people didn't even attempt to answer one of the questions. And their reason for not even attempting to answer it is it looked hard. So the very fact that it looked hard means they didn't even try. And I told them, guys, I said, if you'd have tried, I would have at least given you some credit. But if you didn't try, that's just a big X. I'm writing big red marker X, because I was mad at them. Like, come on, guys, you know. And then I showed them on the board that that question that looked so hard was actually fairly easy. If they'd have just sat down and tried it, they probably would have got the right answer. It wasn't nearly as hard as what they were making out to be, but it looked hard and they didn't even try. So I hope you guys are not going to be like that. I hope that you'll be like, okay, this may be hard, but maybe it's not as hard as I'm making it out to be. And even if it is hard, let's do hard things. Let's persevere. Let's do what we need to do so that we can get where we want to go. And getting an account set up, and again, that's the first key process here. The types of account: you have an individual account, which, as I mentioned, can either be a margin account or a straight cash account. Now, if you're setting this up, this is one of the first things people come to, and they're going to go, I don't know. I don't know what I'm supposed to put here. It's up to you. A cash account just simply means that any trade that you're going to do, you have to have the cash in your account to cover that position. So if you're buying a stock, when it costs $10 and you want to buy 1,000 shares, you're going to have $10,000 in your account. You got to have that full amount or more, 10,000 or more, in order to buy that many shares. With margin, though, it's basically the broker allowing you to borrow money. So that if you wanted to go buy that same 1,000 shares of that $10 stock, you would need to have $5,000 in your account, and then the broker would allow you to borrow 5,000 more. Now, margin does come into play on some of your more advanced strategies, like your credit spreads. So it is something that you might want to have. Again, just because you have that ability doesn't mean you have to use it. So you can have a margin account and still basically treat it like a cash account. So you're never in a position where you're borrowing money. You're just simply using the cash that you have available for doing those trades. And yet, because you have the margin, there are other types of trades that you would be able to do within the context of that account. So they explain a little bit more about what those are and how they work, but basically that's it. So if you want a margin account, that may be helpful down the line. If you're planning on doing some more advanced strategies down the road, you will want a margin account. If you just want to do a straight cash account, that is also fine. And you can come in and adjust this later. So if you decide, hey, I wanted a cash account, but now I've been doing this longer and I actually want the margin account, you could go in and change it. But I would suggest, if you're okay with it and you understand what it really means and how you can use it, you could go ahead and set up a margin account, and that way you wouldn't have to change it later. You can do a joint account. There are two types of those, and they explain those here: tenants in common or joint with rights of survivorship. So let's just say that you are planning on trading with another person, or you're just married and you just want to include your wife or your husband, depending on where you are in that role. And you say, okay, I want this automatically to go to them. This just basically explains how that would work. And basically, if you are married, you're going to do the rights of survivorship. And that just simply means that everybody has an equal share of the assets. When one owner dies, the full account then just transfers over to the other person's name. And you'll list that person off when you're setting up the account. They will have to sign off on certain things. So if you were to write checks out of your account or something like that, there would be a little bit of that. But for most people, if you're just going to be trading within that account, it's not a big deal. You don't have to have like both people's approval to make a trade or anything like that. Just realize that if you're entering that type of account, then you are giving that person, once they have your information, your login information, they can trade anything that's available within that account. So be aware of that. You can also set up retirement accounts. They have traditional IRAs, Roth IRAs, and then SEP IRAs. So if you're wanting to set up your own individual retirement agreement, you're able to do that. There are, again, 3 different types that you could choose from here. And you can do all of those trades really within your retirement agreement as well, which is really, really a cool little feature here, particularly if you are younger, right? So if you're younger and you set up a Roth IRA, you have earned income and it's available to you. A Roth is a great way because you can actually earn money in that account and it will grow tax free. So the initial investment, it's already been taxed. So once you make money off of that, you won't pay taxes on any portion that you make within that account. Now, that's assuming also, of course, that you abide by the guidelines here, which I think it's like 57 and a half, 5 years, or 57 and a half, maybe 59 and a half. I think it's 57 and a half. Before you would be able to take that money out. So if you were to take it out earlier, there would be a 10% tax or 10% penalty on that. Plus, you would pay your regular taxable income. So as long as you keep it in there till you reach those higher levels, right? So you either reach the age level or the age level plus the 5-year minimum, then you wouldn't be taxed on that money within an IRA. So obviously, like I said, if you're a younger person and this is an option to you, you could really see your account grow there. And that's a major benefit to be able to do so within the context of a tax-free account. Now, obviously, with the traditional IRA, it's not taxed now, but it will be taxed on withdrawal. So that is another option, but just kind of make sure, think about which one might be best for you. They also have corporate accounts. So if you have a business that you're wanting to trade out of, you're able to open that account with them as well. They have trust accounts and let's see, certain type of accounts, except for Canadians. That's a little bit of an issue there. So if any of you guys, I know we do have some folks from Canada with our company, and they have to go through and find a different broker because a lot of them here in America have issues. I think it's more so coming from Canada, but there are some issues there. So if you are a Canadian, you will have to kind of think through that a little differently. And then you'll notice down here at the bottom, Tastyworks doesn't currently have custodial accounts, but they're coming, which is really cool. So if you've got some kids, there's 2 different types of accounts you would be able to set up for them, a UGMA or UTMA, and then also the Coverdale, which is an educational account. So those are coming. Really cool to see that. So I've got some kids, wouldn't mind setting some stuff up for them. So once they get that available, we'll be able to look into that for them. Currently, I have one of my sons wanting to trade out of another account that I have set up, with a different broker. So that'll be cool once we can get that set up and make it official over here. And then again, you can see over here, the money stays within that account. It's under you would trade it, but the assets are transferred to the beneficiary once that person listed is no longer considered a minor, so that the money in there would transfer over to them at that time. So there you go, guys. Those are the types of the accounts that we're able to choose. Again, you got individual, joint, retirement, corporate, and trust, and you just click right there on individual, and you can just start to work your way through it. We're going to read a little bit about margin if we need to, right? So if you want to read more about that, you're welcome to do that. And then we just click right here where it says open account. And we just start to go through the process. So email, confirm your email, create a username, password, and then just hit continue and just start working your way through that process. But that's it. So that's the process. And if you guys have questions about this, like you get into the actual form and you have some questions, you can call up Tastyworks, or I think they kind of like for you to chat them or email them, but you can do that. If you want to, you could also contact Tradeway, and we could help you out with some generic stuff. I mean, there's certain things that we can't tell you because it is your account. But for the most part, if it's just something where you're just unsure about a phrase or a certain term or something like that, or what it means, then of course, then we offer that assistance. So if you guys have any questions, make sure you let us know. And we do want to help you. We want to make sure that you feel comfortable with this stuff. And if this is interesting to you and you think you're ready to take the next step, well, we would encourage you to attend a step one. And we have a step one coming up soon, and that is our foundational seminar where we kind of teach you how the market works and how to set up a charting software, how to understand movement over time, how to read candlesticks and find patterns and draw lines and all that stuff. And that is available to those who attend our step one. So I'm going to post that over here, and you guys can check that out if you are interested. We would be glad to have you join us at any point if you are interested. We sure would be glad to have you. We feel like we've got some great educational opportunities available to you, and would sure be thrilled to have you join us. So if you're interested in learning more about trading, this is a great next step for you. Thanks for being on with us today, and for being a part of considering your next steps in your trading journey. Thanks, guys.